Well now, if you find yourself wandering through the lovely town of Carrick-on-Shannon, nestled right by the river in County Leitrim, you're in for a real treat. Tucked away on a side street, just a stone's throw from the bustling main road, is a place that tells one of Ireland's most touching stories. We're talking about the Costello Memorial Chapel. At first glance, you might even miss it, thinking it's just a curious little doorway between two larger buildings. But this, my friends, is no ordinary doorway. It is, in fact, the smallest chapel in all of Europe, a testament to a love that was anything but small. Its story is as grand and moving as any you'd find in a great cathedral. The chapel is special for two big reasons. First, there's its size, which is astonishingly small. You could stretch your arms out and nearly touch both walls at the same time. It's a place that makes you whisper, not just out of reverence, but because it feels so intimate and personal. The second reason, and the more important one, is the story behind its creation. This isn't a chapel built by a king or a bishop for the glory of the church. No, this was built out of pure, deep-hearted love and grief, a memorial from a devoted husband to his cherished wife. It's a love story literally set in stone, a private space of remembrance that is now open for all of us to share. When you step inside, you're not just entering a building, you're stepping into a man's heart. The air inside feels different, heavy with history and emotion. It's hard not to be moved when you understand why it's here. Every tile, every pane of stained glass, every carved stone was placed with intention and care. It was all for one person, Mary Josephine Costello. The chapel stands as a powerful reminder that the grandest gestures don't always need the grandest of spaces. Sometimes the most profound statements are made in the quietest, most humble of places, where every detail speaks volumes about the love that inspired it. Visiting this little gem is a perfect example of what makes traveling through Ireland so rewarding. It's in these unexpected corners that you find the true soul of a place. Forget the massive tourist sites for a moment and let yourself be charmed by this tiny pocket of history. It's a story of love, loss, and devotion that has stood the test of time right here in the heart of Leitrim. It's a place that will stay with you long after you've continued your journey along the River Shannon, a small chapel with a story that's bigger than any cathedral. It truly is a unique and unforgettable stop. So, who was the man behind this extraordinary gesture? His name was Edward Costello, and he was a man of some standing in Carrick-on-Shannon back in the late 19th century. He was a local businessman and politician, a well-known figure in the community. But more than that, he was a man deeply in love with his wife, Mary Josephine. By all accounts, their marriage was a happy one, filled with genuine affection and companionship. They were a familiar and respected couple in the town, living a life that many would have envied. Edward was a man who had found his life's partner and treasured her dearly. Tragedy struck in 1877 when Mary Josephine passed away at the young age of 46. Edward was left utterly heartbroken. The loss of his beloved wife consumed him with a grief that was profound and lasting. He couldn't bear the thought of her being buried in a cold, lonely cemetery, subject to the wind and the rain. He wanted to create a special, sacred place just for her, a beautiful sanctuary where she could rest in peace and where he could be close to her always. His grief was the seed from which the idea for the chapel grew, a way to channel his immense sorrow into a lasting tribute. Edward's devotion was absolute. He decided he would build a chapel specifically to house her coffin. This wasn't just about a fancy headstone. He wanted to build an entire consecrated building dedicated solely to her memory. He poured his energy and his resources into this project, overseeing every detail to ensure it was perfect. The chapel was to be a reflection of his love for Mary Josephine, a beautiful and enduring monument that would protect her remains forever. It was an act of a man who simply couldn't say a final goodbye, choosing instead to build a bridge between the world of the living and the memory of his lost love. This wasn't a fleeting idea born of initial grief. Edward remained dedicated to this vision until it was complete. He commissioned the finest materials and craftsmen he could find to bring his memorial to life. The chapel became his life's work after Mary Josephine's death, a project fueled by a love that refused to be diminished by her absence. He was determined to create a space that was not only a tomb, but also a work of art, a fitting honor for the woman who had meant everything to him. His story is a powerful example of how love can inspire us to create something truly remarkable, even in the face of unbearable loss. Let's talk about the size of this place because it really is something else. The Costello Memorial Chapel measures just 16 feet in length, 12 feet in width, and stands 30 feet high. That's about 5 meters by 3.6 meters. You could probably fit the whole building inside a decent-sized living room. This tiny footprint officially makes it the smallest chapel in Europe. For a bit of perspective, the only chapel in the world that's smaller is the Cross Island Chapel in Oneida, New York, which is built on a small wooden platform in the middle of a pond and is even more minuscule. But for a permanent stone-built chapel, this one in Leitrim is a true wonder. Despite its tiny dimensions, the chapel is beautifully crafted. The facade is made of polished Dungarvan sandstone and is surprisingly ornate for such a small structure. Inside, you'll find a stunning floor made of specially designed encaustic tiles, a common feature in Grand Victorian churches. But here they are in this miniature space. The single stained glass window, which depicts an angel, casts a soft colored light into the interior, creating a peaceful and contemplative atmosphere. There's a small altar, and every inch of the space is used thoughtfully. It doesn't feel cramped. It feels intimate and sacred, a perfectly scaled-down house of worship. The most poignant features of the chapel are, of course, the final resting places of the couple themselves. Beneath the beautiful tiled floor, on either side of the central aisle, lie 2 specially made lead-lined coffins. Each coffin is protected by a thick, heavy slab of reinforced glass set into the floor. This allows visitors to look down and see the coffins resting below. It's a very direct and powerful reminder of why the chapel exists. You are standing right there, with the couple who are at the heart of this incredible story. It is a deeply personal and moving experience for anyone who visits. The construction itself was a feat of careful planning. Edward Costello wanted to ensure the chapel would last for centuries, protecting his and his wife's remains. He spared no expense, and the quality of the workmanship is still evident today, over 140 years later. The chapel was officially consecrated on the 22nd of April, 1879, a little over a year after Mary Josephine's death. From that day forward, it became her sanctuary, a place where Edward could come to feel close to her, surrounded by the beauty he had created in her name, a tiny space holding an enormous amount of love. When Edward Costello passed away in March 1891, his final wish was honored. He was laid to rest in the chapel he had so lovingly built, placed beside his beloved Mary Josephine. His coffin was lowered into its own vault, parallel to hers, and a second glass panel was installed in the floor above him. And so, the couple was reunited in death, lying side by side for eternity in their own private sanctuary. The chapel was now complete, not just as a memorial to Mary, but as the final resting place for them both. It stands as a symbol of a love that was so strong, it transcended even death itself. The chapel was entrusted to the care of the Costello family and later to the local community and the church. For over a century, it has been maintained and preserved, a cherished landmark in Carrick-on-Shannon. It has thankfully survived the passage of time, standing quietly as the town around it has grown and changed. Today, it is open to the public, and a key can be obtained from one of the nearby shops, allowing visitors to step inside and experience its unique atmosphere for themselves. It remains a consecrated Roman Catholic chapel, and Mass is still celebrated there once a year on All Souls' Day. Visiting the Costello Memorial Chapel is a truly unique experience. It's not just about seeing the smallest chapel in Europe, it's about feeling the story. As you stand on that tiled floor and look down at the 2 coffins, you can't help but feel a connection to Edward and Mary Josephine. You can almost feel the weight of Edward's grief and the depth of his devotion. It's a quiet, powerful place that asks for a moment of reflection. In our fast-paced world, a place like this, built for such a pure and simple reason, feels incredibly special. It's a reminder of the enduring power of love. So, if your travels ever take you to the northwest of Ireland, make sure to seek out this little treasure. It's a perfect detour, a small stop that offers a massive emotional reward. The Costello Memorial Chapel is more than just a quirky little building. It's a monument to a love that knew no bounds. It proves that the most powerful stories don't always come with fanfare or grand scale. Sometimes they are found in the quietest corners, in a tiny chapel built by a man with a broken but ever-loving heart. It's a piece of Irish history you won't soon forget.